does your student need to read it cover for cover, but it is a resource for your student and you all as a family. And then the second thing they received, it's a Google form. It's pink in color. This is their schedule request form. This is actually how they're going to go about requesting the classes. We'll get to that very shortly, and we'll talk through that a little bit more in a few slides. But those are two, I hate the word things. Those are two resources that they currently have in their emails. You want to take this one? I'll give you a mic.
Sure.
Stay by the podium. I'll move over. It's on.
Is this on?
It's on.
It's on. Okay. Hi, everybody. So a few things that we went over with your students this past week is just to get them to start thinking about life after high school, which is kind of scary because we just started getting them to think about high school, right? But when it comes to scheduling and when it comes to students really choosing their classes and empowering them to take hold of what they want to do here in high school, it's advantageous for them to think about what they want to do after high school, even if they have a few different choices or if they truly don't know and just have some interests outside of school. So we talked about a few different things like college, graduating, going right into the workforce, going into the military, but then also it could be a combination of things. So Mr. Campbell and I work really, really hard, and we say two particular words to your students throughout their time in high school, which is fit and plan. So our job is to help your students figure out what the right fit is after high school, what the right fit is here in high school, and then after high school, what's your plan to get there? So if you've established what that best fit is for you, then how do we get you there? Like, what is the goal? So it may incorporate quite a few of these different options, or maybe not at all. So we really do spend a lot of time, so we were talking a lot about scheduling tonight, but the reason behind it is trying to help your child find their best fit and their plan to get there.
And by no means is that to say that after that they have to know immediately, that right now on February 18th, 17th, whatever date it is, that they have to figure it out. It is going to be a process, but we do work with the things beyond high school in mind. One concept we introduced to the students on Monday that is very different from schooling up to this point is the idea of credits. To graduate from Streetsboro High School and any high school in the state of Ohio, you need to earn a minimum number of credits. It would be 21. Now, you're not going to earn, that sounds like a big number. Really, your student will typically be taking right around 6 to 7 credits a year. So if you do the math, 4 years, most students will be well over the credits. But there are specific ones in the different subjects. 4 in English, 4 in math, a combined 7 in science and social studies. There is a half credit physical education requirement, half a credit health requirement, half a credit financial literacy requirement, and then also 5 electives, including 1 credit's worth in the area of fine arts. And we can talk about more on that later on. That's also in the curriculum guide, what counts as fine arts. So really, when you break it down, 4 years of high school, you take an English every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, there's your 4 credits of English. And the vast majority of students, this is not an issue. If your student is someone who passes their classes, they are fine, they earn the credits, they will be well on their way to earning a diploma from the state of Ohio. And how you earn a credit, if you think of, say, English 9, a year-long class, at the end of English 9, you pass with a 60% or higher. Certainly we're hoping for higher than a 60, but if you pass with 60% or higher, you have that credit in English. It's not a hard concept, it's just something that is oftentimes new to students because it probably was never put in those terms for them, coming through elementary school and high school, just because it's not the same. We did mention to your students, and one thing we do need to point out where you run into problems are if a student would fail a course and not earn the credit. This is something that is very different. If you fail a course, talk about that English 9 again, that is required. So you would be going on to 10th grade, but you would be taking that English 9 again because the state says you have to have English 9. So now you're a 10th grader, you're sitting in a class with freshmen. That's probably not the most fun thing to do. There's still that English 10 credit hanging over your head, so you're likely taking 2 Englishes. It's just not a great way to start your high school career, not passing classes. This is not to scare anyone. This is not to call anyone out. This is just the reality. And again, the vast majority of our students, this is never an issue, not even a discussion. But keep in mind, if a course, a core course for graduation requirements is not passed, that credit will need to be earned with the class being retaken. I can point with this too. See.
All right. So this is very hard to read, so we apologize. But
it's actually, and that's, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's difficult to read, but like you're going to understand the information. You don't need to necessarily see the specific information on there.
Right, right. So one of the things we got to get this guy a mic here. So one of the things we wanted to show you this because this is a transcript. This is something kind of that new concept too to high school. And this, how we describe it to your students is this is them on paper. Okay, so this is everything that they that somebody might want from their high school experience. When it comes to colleges or employers or military representatives. So this is a list of the courses that they've taken, their grades, their credits earned, attendance, their test scores, things like that. So them on paper, right? What we really hammered home with your students is really starting off and building that good foundation as a freshman. Because they do, start earning those credits, but they do establish their high school GPA, which is very important when it comes to applying to colleges or getting a very good job, going into the military, getting scholarships, things like that. So we really wanted to empower them to make sure that they understood, okay, starting off here in high school is really important, and my grades are important, and I want to continue the success that I have hopefully had in middle school. Typically, colleges look at the first 3 years because they're applying to colleges in their senior year early on when they don't have any senior year grades. So freshman year accounts for 1/3 of what colleges see. So that's pretty important for students to understand that freshman year really does matter and it really does count. The other thing that we really tried to impress upon the 8th graders is that it's very easy to get maybe discouraged with, I didn't turn in a homework assignment or I did really bad on a test. What do colleges really see? What do people really see on a transcript? And it isn't that day-to-day what you see on Hack, or it's not that tests that they didn't do so great on. It is that final grade. So at the end of the year, what did they achieve? What did they accomplish in that course? So that can mean a lot of different things. That means you did bad on a test and that's okay, and how do we recover from that? Or that means you're doing solid all year long and that's great and that will help you at the end. But I think that's important because we do start to get hung up in the day-to-day, but the end goal when it comes to life after high school is those people, the colleges, the universities, the military reps, they'll see that final grade. So we work to try to help your students achieve that overall, what that final grade is. So we think this is important to show you because this is being established right now, and that's a new thing as a high school student.
Right, and this would be, it actually is, it's a few years old, but it's a transcript of a student in their senior year. This would be their test scores, state testing. Again, I know you can't read it, but we're just trying to give you an idea of what a college would see specifically. And frankly, the specifics aren't important. Attendance, it's up here, the cumulative GPA, and this is a breakdown of each year's courses and the final grade in them. So junior year, you would be applying to college fall of your senior year, junior year, sophomore year, freshman year. And like Mrs. Simmons said, that's why we were stressing to the freshmen, building that good foundation, good, bad, or otherwise, 1/3 of that GPA that the colleges, military careers are looking at comes from freshman year. We could debate if that's fair or not, as we're coming in and students mature and oftentimes grow and improve, but that's the reality that it is. And again, Mrs. Simmons hit the nail on the head. Your students, we don't expect you to be perfect. We all make mistakes, and those daily things, yes, it happens. But overall, we're looking for you performing to the best of your abilities and building that strong foundation to start out high school. So our daily schedules here, there's 7 periods. 4 of those courses will be the academic classes, your English, your math, your science, your social studies. And then there are 3 periods for the electives. For freshman year, health and PE will be one of them. We operate at the high school on semesters, meaning there's no 9 weeks courses. So any elective, any course is either a year long, starts at the beginning of the year, ends at the beginning of the year. Those are 90% of the academic courses, and some electives. Those would earn 1 credit. Then there are semester courses that start at the beginning of the year, would end at winter break. That's 1 semester. That's half a credit, typically. PE is a little goofy. It only counts as a quarter credit, even though it's still half a year. And then, the other semester would be starting when we come back from winter break and going to the end of the year. Health and PE are required. We get those out of the way freshman year. We're going to get into electives in a few moments. There's a couple reasons for that. Some of your students might already be considering Maplewood Career Center for 11th and 12th grade. Some might not know about it and then might consider it later on. And you have to have that out of the way if you're attending Maplewood. The bigger reason for any student is when we show you the elective choices, there are way more options the older you get. So a senior's elective choices are like this. A freshman's elective choices are a little bit less, just based on what they have to get out of the way. So trust us, freshmen. You want to get your health and PE out of the way, and then there's way more for you to take. And then the other 2 credits worth of electives, those would happen in the additional 2 periods. Here's a different breakdown of it.
Yeah, so this is pretty much what our normal schedule looks like on a day-to-day basis. So we start school at 7:25. We go right into first period. So we have the first 4 periods of the day. In between 4th and 5th period, we have what's called intervention or home base, similar to IE or intervention that they have at the middle school right now. It's a short time, about 24 minutes or so, but an opportunity for students to get work done if they want to. Those intervention home-based teachers check the students' grades, just kind of give a little bit of encouragement for their academics. 5th period is where our lunches are. One of the shocking things, I think, for your students is that lunches are mixed lunches. So it's all grade levels. It's dependent upon what 5th period class that you're in. So from their days at Wait or campus, when they have always been in a grade level lunch, they now get to mix in with sophomores, juniors, and seniors, which is really kind of cool. So whatever 5th period class they have, they'll have lunch as part of that, and then class either before, after, or they'll split their time in class. 6th and 7th period, and then they're done at the end of the day at 2:25.
It's not necessarily in that order. Like the electives might be earlier in the day, the English might be later, but again, that's just a snapshot of it.
So honors classes, this might be up some of your alleys as far as what courses your students will be placed into. So we take a lot of different information in order to help best place your students into the classes that they'll be successful in. So the honors courses that we have for 9th grade are Honors English 9, Honors Modern World History, Honors Biology, and Honors Geometry. So students, I'm going to go kind of in reverse order, but students that are in Honors Geometry, they will be in Algebra 1 right now. So it's sort of a year accelerated for math. So if they're in Math 8 right now, they would start out in Algebra 1, but if they currently are taking the Algebra 1, the high school level class, while they're in middle school, they're going to go into Honors Geometry. Honors Biology is an acceleration as well, so it's skipping physical science and going straight into what is normally a sophomore level class. And then the World History and English 9 are on grade level. They are just enhanced and accelerated in that honors pace. We look at a lot of different information and data to help us best place your students into a successful environment. So we use their PSAT scores because they took the PSAT in the fall, MAP, air testing, grades, and then input from your teachers as well at the middle school about, your work ethic, your diligence, just your interest in going into an honors class. So we really do, again, that fit and plan. We want to make sure it's the best fit for your student. So if you do have questions about those types of things, you can certainly ask us, but I think it's even better to ask the 8th grade teacher that's in that area if that is a good fit for your student as well.
We really do want to make sure your student's schedule is optimal for them. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. What we don't want is a student in all honors courses and they're getting poor grades and the GPA suffers. On the flip side, we don't necessarily want a student who, needs to challenge themselves and isn't. And I think the nice thing that we do here at the high school is there is flexibility like each year. So I don't want anyone to view this like it's a track, like if you're not on this track right now, you can't get on the track. We're just looking for whether your student needs to be challenged in every area and the data shows they're capable and that's their schedule, or they need to come in, get off to a strong start in the general classes and build that foundation, that GPA, and not be overwhelmed, or a combination depending on certain subjects that are an area of strength and certain ones that aren't. Honors is a different animal, and some of the expectations we have up there, we kind of have this in terms of what potential colleges they might be looking at, but I'm going to talk in terms of honors classes. There is an expectation if you are in an honors class, you are doing homework every night. Homework isn't necessarily that worksheet that you do in intervention or IE and then turn in. Homework is studying, reading ahead, reviewing the notes, trying to learn the material, trying to work ahead. It is those things that you do then have to turn in potentially, but in an honors class, a student shouldn't say, well, I turned that in, I don't have any homework tonight. No, for every honors class, there should be something they're working on every week. Not Saturday night. That's crazy. Go have fun. But one thing real quick to talk about, we're not going to talk too much about college specifically tonight, but one thing is foreign language. So foreign language is not required to graduate. I know like old school, and I know a lot of us, went through and foreign language was a requirement. I just want to repeat that. Foreign language is not required to graduate. You can go through 4 years, not have a foreign language, you graduate, you're good to go. That being said, most colleges want to see 2 years of the same foreign language. So if you are college bound or thinking about college, it's a good idea at some point to take 2 years of a foreign language as your electives. Now, that could look differently for every student. That could look different for every student. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to rush and take it right off the rip freshman year. You might. Your student might be someone who has a strong interest in that area. They have strong skills in English already, and they're passionate about foreign language, and they want to maybe do all 4 years. Then, yeah, you might want to start at freshman year. Your student might decide, no, there's some other electives I'm interested in. It might not fit in the schedule, and you could potentially start that sophomore year, or even potentially junior year. So it is recommended for college, not required to graduate, and again, it looks different for every student in that area.
So we mentioned the PSAT real quick before, that your students took it this year. We have those students, all 10th graders take it, so they will be taking it again, and it's not as if we love to add another test onto them since they already take enough tests. But what makes the PSAT important is it allows students to have an idea if they're on track for college. So especially if they're a college-bound student or they're thinking about college, it is nice to have that piece of information of are they on track? And that data that we get gives them a lot of good information about if they're not on track, how do we get you on track? And if you already are, what are some of the things that you could still be working on? And what are the things that you mastered? So we think it's important to have that 8th grade information. We do it again in 10th grade to have a new baseline of information, because it all leads up to the college entrance exam that all juniors take. And all juniors throughout the state of Ohio are able to take a college entrance exam for free. So, and it's district choice. So we give the SAT here. So we do that preparation test twice. They have an option to take it in the 11th grade if they want to as well in the fall. But we do that to get them exposure to what that college entrance exam looks like, and use that information along the way so that we can help them be as successful as possible. So in about 2 weeks, our current juniors will be taking the SAT, and most of them will be taking that college entrance exam for the first time. So we think it's important for you guys to know that, and some of the things that we do here in the high school help lead up to that so that they know what that test is like and that they are prepared for it.
Well, and one of the cool things with the PSAT is we are able to link your student's PSAT score, their 10th grade one, with Khan Academy, and it provides individualized tutoring on the computer for the SAT. Our English 11 courses and Algebra 2 courses will actually build that a little bit into their curriculum to give the students that, and the cool thing about it is based on that PSAT score, it's individualized. It's not one size fits all. Here's this packet and we're all doing the same one. It's based on what your individual student can get needs maybe a little assistance on for that SAT.
Yeah. We always do a big
brand new,
yeah.
Very exciting graduation seals. We are not going to spend too much time on this tonight because, trust me, you will hear much more about this at other presentations when your student is enrolled at the high school. Mainly, the time that we'll talk more about this is spring of their freshman year, fall of their sophomore year, but we did want to give you the heads up about a new graduation requirement from the state of Ohio. So, graduation requirements, obviously credits, we've talked about that. There is still a state testing component. Your students have taken what has probably been termed air tests or air exams. We have those here. They're called end of course exams. They're the same platform though, the air platform. Based on those exams, what the state says we have to do in addition, your student is proficient in the English exam and the algebra exam, then they have to earn 2 additional seals. Many of these seals, not many, some of these seals have to do with how they perform on other end of course exams, such as the citizenship seal. Say that 3 times fast. Citizenship seal, or the science seal, which have to do with state testing. But a student has to earn 2 to graduate from the state of Ohio. Why we're talking about this now is we just want you and your students to have the heads up. Part of Mrs. Simmons and my job is to work with students to make sure they are on track for them. None of them are necessarily insanely hard. It's not, oh, it's going to be student engagement seal. 4 seasons involved in an extracurricular. That could be a sport, that could be music, that could be a club. A lot of students will have that right off the rip, all right? So the point is, though, it's our job to help your students know this, help them management. Again, you'll hear more about this. Please know this is nothing to stress about. Our size are more the management piece on our end, but this is something that it's not going to be a surprise when your student gets to senior year and we say, oh, by the way, you need seals. It's like, oh, no, we can't earn seals. No, we are introducing it now. So they have the heads up, you have the heads up, and they will get much more information freshman year, sophomore year, and we will do everything in our power to make sure they have 2 seals that they need to graduate. But just FYI, when you hear the term seals, now you can't say no one told you about it. Now you know. The more you know.
So one of the things that we talked briefly with your students about, and we'll talk much more in detail with them a little bit later on, is the ways that you can get involved in high school. And the high school experience is all about what students put into it. So it has a lot to do with academics, of course, but we want students to be involved, whatever their interest level is and their interest area, we want them to be involved. We want them to be connected to school. So we have a lot of different opportunities for students to join a club or an organization and also engage in sports. Again, whatever their interest is, we have something for students. We even tell students, like, if we don't have something and you want to start something, like, talk to us, you know, like, see if there's an interest level for other students as well. So again, that experience is really important. One of the things that we do for students is our first day of school is called Freshman Festival. And this is a really cool day because it allows all of our freshmen to come in and just be themselves as a freshman class and have the school all to themselves. So we go through their schedule that day. So they meet all their teachers, they see their classmates, we give them breakfast and lunch, and we do an activity fair so that they can see and talk to people about the different activities and clubs and sports that we have to offer at Streetsboro High School. So that day is awesome. We get such good feedback on the first day of school here. They absolutely love it. They love to have the run of the place because whether they tell you this or not, each of them are nervous to a certain extent to walk into this building. It's a little intimidating as a freshman. So to have the whole building to themselves is wonderful, and to be able to meet their teachers and really get a lay of the land so that day two, when everybody comes in, it's not quite as intimidating. So we do that. Our technical first day of school is for your freshmen only. We'll also have a parent open house in the fall as well, and typically it's that night.
Well, there's an open house with the teachers, but there's an additional one after Freshman Festival that evening. It's open for your students to bring you and show you, hey, here's my classes, here's what my schedule looks like, here's my locker, here's this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, so
there's the formal open house, but then there's that's an additional one that we have.
So August is a pretty cool time here, especially when you're an incoming freshman and parents of incoming freshmen. In August, you will receive your students' actual schedule. So the things that we've talked about tonight and the form that they fill out is a request form. So the things that they want, is the, it's how they request classes, especially their electives. So things that they might want to take, things that they're interested in. Mr. Campbell and I work very hard on schedules. We touch everybody's schedule in the building to make sure that they are getting classes that they want. There are times where those classes don't work in the schedule because they conflict with other classes that are going on. So we ask your students, hey, these are your top choices, but then also give us some other choices. So as you go through that form with them, and we'll pull that up here, you can kind of see, okay, you're going to give us more choices and more options than they have room for in their schedule, and that's on purpose so that Mr. Campbell and I, when we work on their schedules, we can pull from that extra list if we have to.
So if you look at the form, and some of the students have already filled it out, that's awesome. Hopefully they've talked to you, parents and guardians, but the general information, name, email address, the career goal, don't stress about. If there is something that you're interested in, you could put 5 things, you could put that you're not sure. That does help us if there is a career goal that you have. That might help us as we look at your electives, especially if there's conflicts like, oh, they're interested in engineering, maybe we want to look at a STEM class. But again, that is not, there's no right or wrong answers, it's not a deal breaker. Then we get to the core classes. Again, these are the ones that every freshman takes. Again, we already talked a little bit about the honors placement and how that works in those levels, but everyone has English, everyone has math, everyone has science, everyone has social studies, and freshmen, we get the health and PE out of the way. Then you get to the electives. These are the electives that you can choose from and the different areas. So when you come down here, we want you to go in order, because what we do, we take these elective sheets, Mrs. Simmons, myself, and Mrs. Ruggles are administrative assistant who's amazing. And we put your students' choices in the system. That's how we build. I won't bore you with all the minutiae of scheduling. If you want to hear about it, talk to me after. But that's how we build the master schedule with where everything is the 7 periods and make sure a student's schedule can flow that, oh no, you can't take history. Like, we make sure everything works where it can flow through a student's schedule. Then we get to the elective. So your students' elective choices do go in there. When we go through all this and the periods are assigned and the schedules are spit out, the goal is that many of the students have a 7-period schedule and their elective choices fit. If they don't, what we do is we come back. Now, we check every single student's schedule to make sure it's correct. Some of it's like, yep, it's good, boom, move on. Some of it's like, okay, we got to find an elective. We come back to this form, and we use this to go off of to try to give you something you are interested in. Because, again, we can't always guarantee every elective is going to fit perfectly. I wish I could. I don't think there's any high school that can guarantee that, and if you find one, let me know. I'd love to know how they do that. But we do try to make it work. We look at their preferred choices, and then we come down and we look at their alternative choices if it gets to that point where, okay, none of these worked. We really do work very hard to make sure your students' schedules is something that is beneficial to them, something that will make them successful, and something that, for the most part, they enjoy. That's the form. Boom, we've all discussed it, submitted, and we start rolling with the process. Let me get back to the present. We're almost done because I know there might be some questions about that. Here we go. And oh, there we go, questions. So real quick, I realize that if you are streaming this at the middle school, you might have some questions, and unfortunately, probably not able to ask. Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Shoot us an email, call us, general number at the high school, and you can go through the menu, or you can talk to one of the secretaries and ask for us. Shoot us an email. I should have put I'll try to put our contact info up here before we leave, just so you have it. But so if you're not able to ask a question tonight, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But so if you are here in person, let's roll. What do you got for us? Yes. Honors classes are on a 4.5 scale. So when we get into GPA, how GPAs are calculated. So the question was, what scale are honors classes on? You have a non-weighted GPA, you have a weighted GPA. Both are listed on a transcript, so colleges will see both. When it comes to scholarships, most scholarships use the non-weighted, just being honest. So when you calculate a non-weighted GPA, that any class a student takes is on 4-point scale, meaning an A counts as 4, B 3, C 2, D 1. Those points are added, divided by the number of credits. On a weighted scale, you're taking, okay, so a general class, A4, B3, blah, blah, blah. An honors class, an A would count as 4.5, a B would count as 4, a C would count as, no, I'm saying that wrong, sorry.
So, yeah.
Take that one.
So
I was told there would be no math.
So yeah, honors classes are on 4.5 scale. AP classes, so advanced placement classes, college credit plus classes, those are on the 5-point scale. So we've got 4, 4.5, and 5. So that's how that's divvied out.
What else? Wow.
I think we nailed it.
We must have nailed it. I blacked out. What happened? Okay, well, listen, if you do have any questions or any individual questions that are more based on your student, again, please talk to us. Please reach out to us. We welcome it, and I can't stress enough, we are so excited to start this scheduling process and then get your student rolling at the high school. So have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.